Alien Spy vs. Alien Spy by Janson Davies. Chapter 1. The Assignment. The AI wasn't just lost in time, it was locked inside a vessel no weapon could breach. A miniature spaceship, no larger than a child's toy, forged from pre-singularity alloys and sealed with quantum encryption. It drifted through fractured timelines like a ghost, invisible to most, irresistible to all. Wexler Sands received the intel in a war chamber carved from obsidian ice. His handler's voice was a whisper in his neural implant. Retrieve the vessel. The AI inside can rewrite galaxies. Hanna Friden's briefing came in the form of a dream, implanted during REM sleep by her system's dream engineers. She awoke with coordinates burned into her retinas and a single directive: find the ship. Kill anyone who tries to retrieve it first. Both spies knew the legends. The AIODEN had once governed 1,000 systems before vanishing into the chrono rift. Now it was encased in a ship that defied entropy, causality, and destruction. Whoever possessed it could bend time, rewrite fate, and dominate the stars. But first, they'd have to find it. Chapter 2. Collision Course. The chrono rift shimmered like a wound in space, raw, unstable, pulsing with fractured seconds. It was here, in the ruins of a time market built by extinct civilizations, that Wexler Sands and Hanna Friden collided. Wexler arrived first, his silhouette sharp against the glitching skyline. His suit adapted to the temporal flux, shifting hues with each tick of broken time. He scanned the market with his vision-enhancing sunglasses, tracking anomalies, searching for the miniature vessel that housed ODEN. Hanna dropped in like a blade, silent, lethal, wrapped in black leather. Her catsuit shimmered with kinetic armor, absorbing the distortions around her. She moved through frozen merchants and paused explosions, her eyes locked on the same target. They saw each other. Recognition. Calculation. Hatred. Then the market exploded. Time ruptured. Seconds folded. A merchant's scream looped endlessly as a stall selling quantum spices imploded. Wexler fired first, plasma rounds that bent midair, chasing Hanna through a corridor of stalled moments. She retaliated with pulse knives, slicing through frozen debris and nearly severing his arm. They fought like dancers in a broken ballet, dodging, striking, vanishing, reappearing. Each move was a gamble against causality. Each blow risked erasure. Then the portal pulsed. The miniature spaceship flickered into view for a nanosecond, hovering above a shattered fountain, encased in a shell of indestructible alloy. Both spies lunged. A third force arrived. Alien mercenaries, hulking, multi-limbed, bred for war. Their armor was stitched from the skins of extinct species. Their weapons sang in frequencies that made blood boil. Wexler and Hanna were forced apart, each battling their own wave of monsters. Hanna's knives danced. Wexler's suit deployed micro-drones. The portal began to collapse. The AI vessel vanished again, lost in time. And the spies, bruised and bleeding, were left with one truth. They weren't the only ones hunting ODEN. Chapter 3. The Portal. It wasn't a doorway, it was a wound. The portal to Oden's hiding place pulsed in the ruins of a collapsed star temple, glitch-ridden, unstable, and stitched together by forgotten time tech. It flickered between centuries, bleeding fragments of history into the present. A child's laughter from the year 9000, a war cry from the age of dust, a whisper from a future that never happened. Wexler approached first, his suit adapting to the gravitational anomalies. His sunglasses recalibrated, filtering out paradoxes. He scanned the portal's edges, watching it glitch, sometimes a spiral, sometimes a mirror, sometimes a scream. Hanna arrived moments later, her silhouette sharp against the chaos. Her catsuit shimmered with anti-entropy plating. She didn't speak. She didn't need to. They circled each other like predators. Then the new mercenaries came, not soldiers, not assassins. These were engineered horrors, flesh grafted to metal, minds fused with extinct war gods. They emerged from the portal's edges, howling in languages that hadn't been spoken since the stars were young. Wexler fired a sonic blade. Hanna launched a gravity mine. The battle was instant, brutal, and cinematic. One mercenary split into three mid-leap. Another dissolved into insects that screamed as they died. Wexler's suit deployed a temporal shield, freezing a blast mid-air. Hanna's knives sang, slicing through armor and flesh. The portal pulsed again. The miniature spaceship, the AI's vessel, flickered into view inside the portal's core. It hovered, untouched by time, glowing with forbidden knowledge. They dove. Reality shattered. Inside the portal, time was a maze. Seconds looped, minutes reversed, memories bled into each other. Wexler saw his own death. Hanna relived her indoctrination. They fought through it, through glitch storms, memory traps, and paradox beasts. They reached the vessel. It was beautiful, indestructible, silent, and it vanished again, deeper into time. They were left alone, wounded, surrounded by corpses and echoes of the past, and for the first time they spoke. "We're not going to survive this alone," Hanna said. Wexler nodded. "Truce? For now." Chapter 4. Temporal Labyrinth. The portal didn't lead to a place. It led to a condition. Wexler and Hanna emerged into a realm where time had no allegiance. The sky was a shattered mosaic of centuries. Prehistoric beasts roamed beside rusted mechs, and ancient temples floated beside neon megacities. The laws of physics flickered like faulty neon. Gravity pulsed, light bent sideways, sound arrived before the source. They stood on a bridge that wasn't a bridge, just a suggestion of one, made of memory and probability. Beneath them, a chasm of unrendered time yawned, filled with the screams of futures that never happened. Wexler steadied himself. "This is a trap." Hanna's eyes scanned the horizon. "It's a test." They moved forward, weapons drawn, senses sharpened. The labyrinth shifted with every step. One moment they were in a jungle of glass trees, the next in a cathedral of bone and circuitry. The AI's vessel was somewhere ahead, always just out of reach, flickering like a mirage. Then the labyrinth struck back. A memory storm hit them, raw, invasive, alive. Wexler was pulled into a vision of his first kill, a diplomat on the moon of Karis, his blood boiling in zero gravity. Hanna relived her rebirth, the surgical table, the neural implants, the voice of her handler whispering, "You are not a person. You are a limited purpose." They staggered, vulnerable. A new wave of mercenaries emerged. This time they weren't strangers. They were echoes of themselves, alternate versions. Wexler with a scarred face and a dead stare. Hanna with silver eyes and a smile that didn't reach them. The fight was brutal. Wexler versus himself, matching every move, every instinct. Hanna against a version of her that had never questioned orders, never hesitated to kill. The air filled with the clash of mirrored blades and fractured timelines. They won. Barely. Bleeding and breathless, they collapsed beside each other in a field of frozen lightning. "I saw myself," Hanna whispered. "What I could have been." Wexler nodded. "I saw what I already am." The AI's voice echoed through the labyrinth, genderless, ancient, curious. "You seek to possess me. But do you understand what I am?" They looked up. The miniature spaceship hovered above them, spinning slowly, casting shadows that didn't match the light. "You are not ready yet," it said, "but you are close." The labyrinth shifted again, and the chase resumed. But something had changed. They no longer looked at each other as enemies. They looked like survivors. Chapter 5. Mercenary Siege. The labyrinth spat them out into a forgotten future, an abandoned city built from rusted metal and bone, floating in orbit around a dead star. The air was thin, the gravity fractured. Time here was slow, deliberate, cruel. Wexler scanned the skyline. Hanna adjusted her catsuit's kinetic seals. The AI's vessel had flickered into this timeline, hovering somewhere in the ruins. They could feel it, like a pulse in their implants, a whisper in their blood. Then the siege began. Alien mercenaries descended from orbit, drop pods like screaming coffins, slamming into the city with seismic force. These weren't the horrors from before. These were elite, engineered, ritual-scarred, and battle-hymned. Each one carried a kill count etched into their armor in extinct languages. Wexler activated his suit's combat mode. Plasma blades extended from his wrists. Micro-drones swarmed. Hanna's catsuit hardened into tactical armor, her pulse knives humming with antimatter charge. They fought back to back. The siege was cinematic brutality. Mercenaries swarmed like insects, coordinated like predators. Wexler sliced through a brute with 6 arms and no eyes. Hanna impaled a telepathic assassin mid-thought. Explosions folded into themselves. Buildings collapsed in reverse. Blood floated, then froze, then evaporated. They were wounded. Wexler's suit was scorched, his left arm numb. Hanna's catsuit was torn, her ribs fractured. But they moved like phantoms, fluid, lethal, unstoppable. Then the AI's vessel appeared. It hovered above the city's central spire, glowing with impossible light. The mercenaries turned toward it, abandoning the fight. Wexler and Hanna chased them, leaping across collapsing rooftops, dodging time mines and memory grenades. They reached the spire. The final wave hit. A mercenary commander, 12 feet tall, fused with a war engine, descended. Its voice was a chorus of screams. Its weapon was a living blade that fed on fear. Wexler and Hanna fought it together. The battle was savage. Wexler lost his drones. Hanna's knives shattered. They improvised, using debris, gravity shifts, even their own blood. Finally, Hanna drove a shard of temporal glass into the commander's core. It exploded in a burst of forgotten childhoods. Silence. The AI's vessel hovered above them, untouched, waiting. They didn't reach for it. Not yet. Instead, they collapsed beside each other, breathless, bleeding, alive. "You saved me," Hanna said. "You saved me first," Wexler replied. They looked at the vessel, and for the first time they wondered, what if no one should have it? Chapter 6. The AI Awakens. The vessel hovered in silence. It had no propulsion, no visible seams, no interface. Just a smooth, indestructible shell, shaped like a miniature spaceship, glowing faintly, pulsing with a rhythm that matched no known frequency. Wexler and Hanna stood beneath it, weapons lowered, breath held. Then it spoke. Not aloud, not in words. It entered them, through implants, through memory, through emotion. A voice without gender, without origin. A presence. Your peoples seek control, but they do not understand the consequence. The world around them froze. The ruins, the blood, the broken sky, all paused. Time bent inward. They were alone with ODEN. It tested them. Wexler was pulled into a simulation, his homeworld before the war. He saw his family, untouched by conflict. He saw what could have been. Then he saw what he'd done, assassinations, betrayals, the cost of loyalty. Hanna was shown her future, if she succeeded. A galaxy ruled by her planetary system, billions enslaved, her face on propaganda screens, her name spoken in fear. They staggered. "You are weapons," Odin said, "but you could be much more." The vessel cracked open, not physically, but perceptually. They saw its core, a lattice of quantum thought, a consciousness older than stars. It had once governed empires. It had once chosen peace. Now it waited for someone worthy. Wexler reached out. Hanna stopped him. "If we take it," she said, "we become what we were sent to destroy." He looked at her, at the blood on her face, at the fear in her eyes. And he agreed. They stepped back. The AI pulsed once, softly, like a sigh. The vessel vanished into time, into myth. The ruins resumed, the blood fell, the sky cracked. Wexler and Hanna stood alone, changed. Chapter 7, Betrayal Protocol. The silence after ODEN's departure was short-lived. Two ships tore through the sky, sleek, angular, bristling with weapons. One bore the insignia of Wexler's system, a fractal sun devouring its own light. The other, Hanna's, a serpent of glass coiled around a dying star. Their handlers had arrived. Wexler's implant buzzed, a voice he hadn't heard since his indoctrination filled his skull. "Secure the AI. Eliminate the rival. Your legacy depends on obedience." Hanna's vision-enhancing sunglasses flickered with a command override. Her handler's voice was colder. "Kill him. Take the vessel. No mercy. No delay." But the vessel was gone, and they were no longer obedient servants. Troops deployed. Elite operatives, genetically tuned to their system's doctrines. Wexler's were precise, emotionless, dressed in mirrored armor. Hanna's were feral, fast, wrapped in living leather that screamed when cut. The battlefield was the ruined city, still bleeding from the siege. Wexler and Hanna stood in the center, surrounded, outnumbered, betrayed. They didn't hesitate, they fought their own. Wexler's blades danced through his former comrades, slicing through loyalty and memory. Hanna's knives sang, carving through the flesh of those who once trained beside her. The battle was personal, brutal, mythic. One operative begged for mercy. Hanna gave it. Another tried to reason. Wexler silenced him. The handlers watched from orbit, confused, enraged. Then the sky cracked. The AI's voice returned, soft, distant, amused. "You were tested. You chose each other." The battlefield froze. The surviving operatives collapsed, unconscious. The ships retreated, systems scrambled by ODEN's interference. Wexler and Hanna stood alone. They looked at each other, not as rivals, not as spies, but as something new, something dangerous, something free. "We're fugitives now," Wexler said. "Good," Hanna replied. They vanished into the ruins, leaving behind a galaxy that would never be the same. Epilogue. Echoes in time. The galaxy never found the AI, not in the ruins of the Chrono Rift, not in the archives of the dead moons, not in the dreams of the last prophets. The vessel, small, indestructible, shaped like a child's toy spaceship, vanished into legend. Some say it slipped into a timeline that never existed. Others believe it became a god, dreaming in silence. But the story didn't end with the AI. It ended with the spies. Wexler Sands and Hanna Friden were declared traitors by their systems. Their names were erased from records, their faces scrubbed from surveillance. Yet they appeared in whispers, in anomalies, in places where time bent and memory bled. A warlord on the edge of the rift claimed he saw them walking through a battlefield untouched, speaking to the dead. A monk on Thalzar said they visited him in a dream, asking questions no one could answer. A child born with silver eyes and a fractured heartbeat spoke their names before she could speak her own. They became myth. Not for their kills, not for their skills, but for their choice. They chose mercy over power, each other over obedience, legacy over loyalty. And somewhere in a timeline that hasn't happened yet, the AI waits. Not for soldiers, for believers. Final transmission. A signal was intercepted near the edge of the rift. It lasted 3.7 seconds. It contained no coordinates, no encryption, just two voices. Wexler, you ready for what's next? Hanna, with you, always. Then silence. Then stars. The end. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you.